Speaking of Hope, Support, Heal, Season 2.
Hello and welcome to Speaking Of, a podcast brought to you by Axios International. This podcast gives individuals a platform to share their insights, perspectives, and journeys with those facing similar struggles. In Season 2 of our podcast, we bring you personal stories of resilience and initiatives that improve healthcare access challenges. These are stories of hope, stories of support, and stories of healing. These are your stories. Today we are honored to have Muna Harbi with us. Muna has been living with multiple sclerosis, MS, a highly unpredictable central nervous system disease that disrupts the flow of information between the brain and body. The disease has no known cure. In this episode, we will discuss her personal experiences, explore the obstacles she has overcome, and learn how she uses her platform to raise awareness and support others living with MS. This conversation promises to be enlightening and inspiring, offering valuable insights into living with a chronic condition and the importance of support and advocacy in healthcare. Hello and welcome to Speaking Of. Mona, how are you today?
Thank you for having me today.
Mona.
Yes,
yep,
tell me.
No worries. Mona, you are not only a dedicated member of the Strategic Advisory Committee for the National MS Society in the UAE, but also a passionate MS ambassador, advocate, and a life coach above all. So can you just take us and our listeners through your journey? How did you reach this point?
At the beginning of my journey with MS, I can say that, like many people, I didn't know there was such a disease called multiple sclerosis. I didn't know anything about its symptoms, how it starts, which doctor should I be seeing for such symptoms. I had no idea about this disease. But what I remember in 2013, my first symptoms were losing the ability to walk in the middle of the heat. And it was a bit shocking and it was a bit challenging. And I didn't think much about it because back then I used to think whatever symptoms I'm having in my legs or back was due to the back-to-back pregnancy and being overweight and, you know, the insecurities women get after having babies. So my children were basically toddlers, and both of them were younger than 3 or 2 years old. And it didn't occur to my mind that what happened that day, something that should be checked. But maybe almost 2 years after that, like by the end of 2014, when I had my last child, a girl, I lost the ability to walk again after giving birth. And it was almost the same reaction due to giving birth and due to having these young children, and my body is exhausted. It didn't occur to me that I was having a new lesion or a new attack for
so in
multiple
between
sclerosis.
These two episodes, you were able to walk?
Yeah, I was able to walk. My legs were very heavy. I had the numbness the whole time. It never went away until today. Because of not checking that, I have those symptoms until today. But I'm lucky that I can walk again. After being diagnosed and the steroids they gave me and the modifying treatments they gave me, I got the ability to walk, but I still suffer from, the heaviness, the spasticity, the difficulty in bearing the strength under the heat, like these kind of things. But what made me look for answers was after having my child, it touched me like I couldn't carry her up the stairs. She's only a newborn. How is it difficult for me to carry a newborn? So I had all those questions, and I was thinking that maybe something in the spine or something like that is causing all this numbness and weakness in my limbs. So I went for a consultation, and they ordered an MRI. And the MRI, this doctor that told me, you have something that you should be checked by a neurologist. It's not my specialty to tell you. And this is where the journey began. I had to see a neurologist in order to tell me what's wrong with me. And in order I start taking whatever symptoms I was having serious, and that it had something behind it, and it was multiple sclerosis.
So is this a genetic disease? Was there anyone else in your family with it? I mean, I'm sure you had all these questions in mind, right?
Definitely, yeah. But after all those years, having it almost 10 years now, and being friends with all those doctors and neurologists by this point, many studies show that there is nothing sure that it is genetic, or it can come run through a family. Because as for me, I have no one in the family that have MS or maybe even neurological diseases, but other MS people that I know, they have it. They have it in their family. Like more than 2-3 members have it in their family. So it's not something really genetic, or it doesn't come with something specific. They don't know the actual cause, but there are theories, and you can attach yourself on one of those theories. That's all.
So you are a young mother, and you have a newborn, and again you said, even the main tasks for the child you were not able to do. What were the thoughts in your head at that time? What did you think now you need to do?
At that time, it was really heartbreaking for me. I felt those feelings that usually come after giving birth. Like I felt I'm not a good mother enough. Maybe I'm not doing my best. Maybe I'm a lazy mother or something like that, and I get tired very easily. Until I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I knew that okay, now I'm diagnosed with something. I know what's wrong with me, but I still didn't have the full understanding that this is a life-changing disease, that I need to change my lifestyle. I need to change everything in my life, health-wise, attitude-wise, maybe work-wise. All those things need to be changed with a disease like MS. So that was part of the challenge and the beginning of the journey. So I made myself understand what is MS. I asked around. A lot of people in my culture, in my community, didn't know what MS means. And there was like those stigmas that were associated with certain diseases that can make you weak or make you delusional, or maybe it's only in your head. So not many people liked talking about them. Even if someone was back then having such a disease or similar, they wouldn't open up about it. And that was a big challenge for me, just to talk about it and to tell people, like, if you see me park in a POD parking, it's even though I'm walking, it's not because I'm spoiled or I have, a privilege. I have something called MS. They don't know what MS, so it's easy to judge you. It's easy to judge a person when you don't know what's going on with them. So this was the spark that made me go on social media and start talking about MS. I was surprised when I started talking about it in public that people are contacting me and telling me about their stories secretly. And they didn't want to go public about their stories. They just wanted someone that understands them, that understand what does it mean when you say I'm tired. Fatigue is one of the most invisible symptoms for MS. So when a normal person that doesn't suffer from anything says I'm tired, and then an MS person says I'm tired, you should multiply that by 10 with all the insomnia that comes with it and the aching and the spasticity. So when someone tells you, I'm tired, yeah, I'm also tired today, it gets them frustrated. It's not the same. It's not the same as getting tired when you're having MS, especially that it's the nervous system is overwhelmed and is trying to pass those signals through your brain to the spine, to your body, but it's not reaching in the right speed or in the right, because of those attacks on the myelin sheets. So I was happy to have those feedbacks and reactions from the people, and that gave me more motivation to keep talking and to make myself more loud, and my message was amplified by doctors who were interested in raising awareness about MS. So basically that was what made me start my MS journey through social media.
But what about your doctor? Did he explain it well to you? Were there the healthcare professionals? Did they explain what changes you will have to make, what changes are going to come in your body, maybe, you know, how your lifestyle will have to change? And you mentioned the challenges already, you know.
Yeah.
Did they take you through the entire journey that you would be taking on from, you know, when you're diagnosed?
Yeah, you know, like any person that will be told like you have a certain illness or something, I was told in different ways, but you know, you always have hope. Like I'm gonna ask another doctor. Let's see what he says. I went basically to 5 doctors until I got slapped with reality. Like, Muna, you have MS. This is your reality now. You have to deal with it. It comes with depression. It comes with challenges. It comes with changing lifestyles. So I thought at the beginning, when I told you I didn't know much, they told me I have MS, but because I didn't know about it, I thought that, okay, just give me my medication. I'm going to go back to living my life. I didn't know that it had to be with all these changes. So the last doctor I saw, which we are basically very good friends now, and he told me, you're going through depression because of accepting your MS. You're not realizing how MS is a life-changing disease, and that's what's making you not taking your treatment serious. And we had many conversations after that, but I got to the reality, and this is true. I was having my own struggle. I didn't realize it. The anger, the isolation. I didn't even want to be with my kids. I was afraid to make them dependent on me. I was always just looking at them from a distance. I was wishing they grow up without depending on me on anything, because back then I thought in my mind, I'm just going to be a weak mother on a wheelchair. How can I help them? Why do I let them depend on me? And that was very devastating for especially a mother with very young children that still we didn't build that relationship. They will still babies. And when I look back today, I'm very proud of where I reached and how my children, I changed the mindset. It started with me. I changed myself and my mindset, so it reflected on my family, and it reflected on the people around me, and then it reflected on my community. I no longer see it as a weakness. So even my children, now mashallah, they're 13, 12, and 10. They don't see it as a weakness as well. Like before, if you ask them, and I think there is a video of my son talking in one of the podcasts, he said, like, she's always tired, she's always sitting in the dark. And I didn't want that memory to stay with them. Today they say, when I tell them, let's go, there is an MS marathon or there's an MS event, and Mama, we always attend your events, you can do it by yourself. And it's like something normal. And for them, I wanted to normalize it and to make them see that we can have this relationship of course, I don't want to normalize it for the community in our society. It shouldn't be something normal. It should be something understood.
Yeah.
That's all. When I tell you publicly about my MS, it's not for you to feel pity for me or feel sorry for me. It's for you to understand why I need this parking, why I need certain working hours, why I need to rest on weekends, why I can't attend your event. It's for purposes like that and to raise awareness, not for you to use it against me or to feel pity for me or to have this judgment towards me.
Yeah. So then, I mean, I see a very strong woman emerged from that challenge that you had. You overcame it for yourself, for your children, for your family, as you said. Then you decided to become an ambassador, an advocate, and a life coach, which I think you say is really important. So what is all this work about? What do you do?
Yeah, so this is how the beginning of me helping myself. I went through this 6-month journey of how to be a coach, or how to coach yourself in life, and then how to find the right people, the right mentors to help you. Because at the end, we are human beings. We rely on each other. We need each other's help, one way or another. Even if you're sitting alone with a book, the book has a writer behind it, and this author is connecting with you through a book. So as humans, we need this connection. We need to rely on each other. So one of the purposes I developed during that 6-month healing journey is being this transformation coach. Like, I help people transform their lives. Everyone with MS or not MS, any hard situation in life, you need change. You need to transform something in your life in order to have a better version of yourself. So this is what I worked on. I helped people accepting MS. I help people accepting several chronic diseases. I help people accepting social situations, like something hard, like grieving a lost loved one, or divorced, or like letting go of a child who's now an adult, or, you know, any kind of life transformation. I help do it because I started with myself. I transformed my life. I learned all the techniques that I needed for and able to be this kind of coach. And I got all the accreditations I needed and all that logistics. But what matters now is how much can I help people. So I focused and I made my message first to the people who are suffering from MS or any chronic disease. Because now, in these days, in this lifetime, who doesn't?
Yeah.
We all have, I'm sure one of your friends have diabetic, or someone have lupus, blood pressure. All of us are dealing with something. And all these kind of challenges, you need someone to help you through them. You cannot accept them directly. You reach a level, to be honest, many of my followers tell me very heartbreaking stories, like a girl who couldn't get married because of, like, you know, I told you, the stigma and the fear of judgment, and her parents don't understand that MS girls can get married, they can have families, they can have children, and they can live a normal life. They just need a certain lifestyle. Another one that her husband doesn't know she has MS. To that extent, how can you live with a life partner and they don't know something very significant like that about you? How will he understand your tiredness? How will he plan with you when to have babies, or if we should have babies? You know, it's hard, and people are struggling with silence. So I decided to help them, and I'm always open to whoever needs help, but it should start from them. They should need that kind of change. They should need to transform their life. They should need to reach that acceptance, to accept that, okay, I'm living with this chronic disease. I need to accept it. What will I do? How will I change? How will I live with it?
So I know you have helped thousands of people, like you said. Thousands have been impacted. But if we just focus on, for example, MS and chronic diseases, what is the main thing that you think was the obstacle that had to be overcome, especially in society like ours where we are staying? There must have been a common kind of theme that you help people with.
The number one is the level of awareness.
Okay.
But to me personally, it was judgment. And judgment was, you can say, was my secret motivation. I was trying to overcome judgment or people judging me or talking about me or whatever judgment comes with. But after dealing with judgment and the fear of being judged, that was my motivation. I mean, like the shell I should have crawled out of in order to be able to talk about it and help. But to me personally, it was judgment. And I'm sure many girls, especially, even men in our culture can relate. But number one, we can say the level of awareness. Let me elaborate on that. When I say girls or men with multiple sclerosis can struggle emotionally more in a different way. Let me tell you how. From experience, of course, and from people I know that have MS. When you tell someone, like, this man has MS and he doesn't realize what MS means or what MS can be impactful on your life and change your life, this guy that has MS have more fear than the lady in the meaning of, I'm a man, I should be always strong and I can have children, I can support my family, I can do this job, I can do this. Physically, an MS person, he cannot do much as a normal person. So when you are a man diagnosed with MS, the challenge, the social challenge to you, it's very difficult. It plays with your mind, and it could reach to a level that it will impact your mental health. And I saw that with my eyes. I wish I could say some stories, but I need to protect their privacy. But we can say to a suicidal level. It's very serious. It's very dangerous. And people should consider knowing and learning about MS. Either you have it or a member of your family have it or not. Because maybe one day you can deal with someone who have MS or any chronic disease, and now you understand that he shouldn't feel judged or pressured just because he's a man and he's like on a wheelchair or feeling weakness in his, or why can't he walk that he's a man, and why can't he do this or carry that or play with his children, or I know men that they cannot throw their children in the air when they like to play. The children like that from their fathers because of MS and their weakness, and they're afraid of their child's safety. So it is challenging in different ways for both men and women. But if the society can help in one way or another, they can help by being aware, by realizing what does MS means, by realizing how can it impact a person's life. If I'm a person who understands what MS means, if I see a healthy lady that she seems healthy on a wheelchair, I wouldn't judge her that she's being spoiled or just she doesn't feel like walking today. And you understand? This is like a simple example, but this is what I mean. This is the challenges they go through. And you can add to that the emotional challenge. For myself, I was in the depression for 1.5 years. Others were like 6-7 years in depression. They didn't find the right help they need. Maybe others only 6 months, 5 months. It depends on how fast did you find your resource, the right resource to help you. It depends on how fast did you reach that acceptance that you have MS and you need this level of life changing and this level of changing your mindset.
I think acceptance comes from awareness, like you said. It will also, once you're educated on what exactly is happening, then you come to the level of acceptance.
Yeah, that's why I advocate a lot about educating the people of the relatives of the people who have MS, like the family, the husband, the mothers. I know one story. She divorced her husband just because he was diagnosed with MS, and then the roller coaster it happens.
Yeah.
Like he got too emotional, and he feels like unwanted, or like he feels like some kind of pariah,
the support system needs to be really
exactly
strong, yeah.
So most of my advocacy is educate the people surrounding the MS people. It's very important. Their looks, their sound, how they sound, how they treat them. Imagine a situation when they hear you inviting everyone but you because they feel sorry for you, or they feel like overwhelming, although it's against what doctors recommend. But because of the lack of awareness of the people who are taking care, or the support system, like you said, they're not aware, like your behavior, your words, your reactions affect those people living with MS.
Exactly, I'm very sure. So Mona, I know you are one individual, if I can say, who's helping so many people. What do you think of the health systems? Are they equipped to empower patients, if I can put it like that?
I'm sure they're equipped. They are equipped. But it's not about being equipped. It's more about how many gaps are there. There are many gaps between, because being diagnosed with such an illness is a journey. The journey from the first day you enter the hospital until the day you get your final treatment, and they tell you have to stick with this treatment. So where are these gaps? We should identify those gaps, and then we should highlight them to the people, to the decision makers, and then we should help find solutions for those gaps, to close those gaps. If you say, are the hospitals equipped? We have the best machines, we have the best neurologists, but when you see this patient, you feel this patient is still having difficulties in getting his medications, is still having challenges in finding the right time appointments, is still having challenges in finding the right support system, the psychiatry kind of support, or educating their family. So there are gaps. There are many examples here. One of them are insurance. Some insurance have limited, like they limit the number of refills for certain medications or treatments. And MS, it doesn't have a cure. Like there is no treatment that you can take it one time and then that's it. You have something called modifying disease treatments, MDTs. Modifying, it's something you take it forever to control the symptoms. Instead of going directly to a wheelchair, you can use a cane, or you can use like a brace or something. So how can you control those symptoms, and how can you stop this patient from reaching that level? Through those medications. And those treatments, they need certain approvals, they have certain costs, and all this big story that the MS person goes through, he doesn't realize. He doesn't realize that there is some kind of challenge, and there is something I have to do also. And how much can he take, and how much can he really do in this matter? It should come from upper level, it should come from decision makers. This is one example. You have other examples, like when a neurologist see that this person is not taking his medication, and he can see that he's going through depression, but he's a neurologist, he should only refer him. But who will follow up with this referral? Does he have an MS team? Does he have a dedicated MS nurse to follow up with this person, to make sure at the end of his his sessions, he started getting back to his medication and treatment? You see where I'm going? Like, it's there. Everyone can do his part, but who can fill these gaps, and who can help?
That's what we try to do as Axios. We try to fill these gaps, and we do ensure that people adhere to medicine as well. And
I'm sure it's not only a one person job.
Exactly.
Like we need many hands.
System.
It's a full system, and as I mentioned, it's a journey, and the patient journey in those hospitals is very important. I remember a personal story when my mother was diagnosed with cancer. It was 2 types of cancer back in 2011. And they took her to Singapore to like for second opinion. And there they decided to do a surgery, and it was a massive surgery, a 9-hour surgery, because they had to remove a lot of her parts, because of it was lymphoma and it was breast cancer. So she had a lot of parts to remove. And what I was surprised there in the Singaporean system, that they had another system for the people who are escorting this patient. Like when they had their evaluation, their psychiatry evaluation for my mother to enter this long surgery, and she will come back, she will come out a totally new person, a different person with a different body. They did that kind of sessions for her. But at the same time, they did for us. They took me and my father in a separate room with a psychiatry, and they told us, your mother will come out looking different. She will need this kind of support. Your reaction, whatever your reaction, you're shouting, you're crying, this will all affect her. And it's very important to understand your emotional, like it was amazing. Like they took us in a different kind of sessions, emotional, and then they explained to us, like basically they brought us a presentation. They explained to us her body parts and how it's gonna be, and they explained, those pipes that will be hanging with blood, and you shouldn't react like this and that, and this will be, and whatever. And they told us how to help her as a support system afterwards, after the hospital phase, So that really amazed me. Alhamdulillah, my mother is still with us today, and she's a cancer survivor. But what I mean, like,
I understand.
You can see that there in their system, the gaps are filled, and there are important gaps. So what if we had a similar system for people who get diagnosed with MS, with lupus, with, thyroid, like, at least it shouldn't be as extensive or like as the same. But I mean, even if one of the sessions can involve a family member. I want to mention another example here. It would be the first time I mention, so you have an exclusive. In 2019, when I was in the US, my husband insisted to take me for a second opinion after my last relapse. So there I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Yes, so people don't know this about me, but I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. But again, what I was surprised when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia back then, it was the same. I didn't know that, my understanding was MS doesn't cause pain. It's at the contrary, it paralyzes you. So how is this level of pain happening to me? So when I asked that to the doctor there, it was the same. Believe it or not, they took me, it's basically like I went back to school. It was 4 days of education about fibromyalgia, how to deal with it, how to live with it, it was a 4-hour class from 9 to 1 o'clock with breaks, of course, and coffee breaks. And you were allowed to bring a family member. And it was just explaining to you what is fibromyalgia, how do you live with it, how do you deal with it, how to deal with your sleep hygiene, how to deal with your health, what do you eat, what gives
all aspects.
Basically. What makes it flare up, what makes it calm down. It was basically like going back to school. So I was thinking, what if we do something similar for MS, especially if we involve family members who will live with those people. One of the marvelous stories I have on my social media is a friend that was diagnosed at 17. And you see, I'm telling all these stories, I'm just confirming how much awareness is very important, and the level of education for the caregiver as well.
Yes,
Not only,
absolutely.
you don't tell a person, or the nurse just withdraw blood and tell a person you have MS and okay, bye-bye, I will give you the result.
Yeah.
So the caregiver also need to go in a certain process. So this girl, she was 17 when she was diagnosed with MS. You know, at that age, everything, you don't even understand the world that much. But she accepted. She went through the depression phase, and at 21 or 22, she got married. So when she got married, unfortunately, from 17 to 22, her doctor made this big reaction to her that it's a very serious disease, and you couldn't have children, and you couldn't, all that. I'm sorry to say, it's nonsense. Because as an MS person, a lady or a man, you can get married, you can have children, you can plan it, but with a bigger team, bigger medical team. That's all. So when she got married, I think she stayed like 3 or 4 years without children until she met my doctor, Ahmed Shatila. And he told her, you can have children. Who told you you can't? And her second or third visit, and she went through it, and she went through all the doctors, they gave her all the, like these instructions, like this medication is good for pregnancy, and we can tolerate this, and after you give birth you have to do this and do that, because relapses are more highly after giving birth direct because of the immune system.
You experienced already.
Yes. So after visiting him 2 or 3 times, at the third visit she came with her child. And we now in our society we call her the miracle child, because she came after believing that she couldn't have children. And now she's almost 1, this baby. And the all MS society know about her story. I love her and adore her. She's very adorable. But you can see to which level it can affect your life. To a level that you're not allowing me to have children, and I can have children. You're not allowing me to get married, and I can get married. And in our culture, in our community, people are discreet in talking about certain subjects like sexual dysfunction and all these problems that can come with MS, especially with men. Okay, you can talk to them about your doctor. You don't have to talk publicly about it. And then if the other person, or this man that have MS, that's worried about this part of his life, if the girl he proposes to have that level of awareness that it's not really a problem, you're gonna avoid all the depression phase, all the fear, all the avoidance of having a family, having children. You understand? So this is why I advocate a lot about knowing about MS. You don't have to feel sorry, you don't have to understand, you don't have to give me a job, you don't have to fire me, you don't have to do anything. Just know about MS and know what people are going through.
I'm so happy that you are passing on this education. Whatever you have experienced, you have learned, you have come out as a stronger woman, as a person who actually is making a path for others. So this is like a really inspiring. I'm very sure that even people who are going to listen to this podcast and are maybe secretly harboring whatever you said, the thoughts on negativity that is around us, it's going to be impactful for them. So is there anything last in the end that you would like to add as a general for patients, for caregivers, for everyone?
I would like to say my 5 elements that I always emphasize on. For everyone who's going through any challenge, for caregivers, for doctors, for relatives who have people or going through something, you have to focus on those 5 elements. The first one is awareness. What does awareness mean? It means information. You need to get all the information, even if it doesn't involve a disease. When I see my son or my husband or my brother or my colleague struggling through something, I cannot judge him directly that he's going through that, or I need more information. I need to know. I need to understand what's going on there. I need all the level of awareness that I need to deal with this person. Number 2 is perspective. I have to change my perspective. My favorite metaphor is the smartphone. To me, it's a communication device. To you, maybe it's a gaming device. To my daughter, it's a photography device. So it depends on your perspective. Change the way you look at MS. Change the way you look at the people you love. Change the way you look to any chronic disease, any challenge. Like I mentioned, the parking. When you see someone parking in this parking and you see him walking on his leg, change the way you look at that idea. That I shouldn't just see people on wheelchairs coming out from that car that's parked there. Change your perspective of things. Perspective is very important to reach the third element, which is change. You have to want change. Nobody will help you change unless it starts from the inside. You have to want change. Change is the key to anything any version of yourself, any good version you want to reach of yourself. Change is the key. Change is very significant in every person's life. We don't feel it, we don't realize it, but during our all our life, like if I ask you, when you were 15, have you changed since you were 15?
Massively.
Definitely. So we have the change. We are changing, but we need to do it consciously. We need to do it with a new realization, new awareness, new perspective. And what do we need to do this change? Which gets me to my fourth element, which is action. You need action. You need actually to get up and do that change. If I want to change the path I go to work, okay, let me change the other. I will just use this road. My perspective might change, my focus will change, my awareness. Maybe I will get late 2 or 3 minutes to work, but everything, my energy will change. So you need to actually do that action and go and ride your car and use that new path to. Action is about the doing. You need to do that change. Which get us to our final element, which is acceptance. So all those 4 will make you reach the acceptance. You will accept the situation you are in. You will accept the MS if you have it. You will accept whatever you're trying to reach in your life, to accept it. How challenging it is, how devastating it is, reaching the level of acceptance will make you know how to deal with it, how to live with it. True. Maybe you will not overcome it. MS will stay with me forever. But now, since I accept it, I know how to live with it. I know how to deal with it. I know my needs. I know people know my needs without me saying it, just because I accepted it.
Thank you so much, Mona, for taking the time out to speak to us and for your insights, which are going to be massively helpful to many, many people.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And that concludes another episode of Speaking of Hope, Support, Heal. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mona for sharing her extraordinary story. If you or someone you know is navigating their journey through adversity, remember you're not alone. There is strength in sharing our stories and finding common threads that connect us all. Battling disease is challenging. It can impact patients' psychological health, and the cost of treatment may lead to severe financial difficulties. However, access to innovative treatment shouldn't be one of them. As an access to healthcare company, Axios International provides complete support that a patient would need at any point in their journey. If you found inspiration in today's episode, please consider sharing it with someone who might need a boost or a reminder that they are not alone. Together, we can spread hope and encouragement.
Axios, transforming access to healthcare.